Okay, we're going to be talking about strings in Python. I really like how Python handles strings personally. I think it's a neat and intuitive approach compared to other programming languages. We've already seen strings. So we've used input before, we've used print. Those both dealt with manipulating or handling strings, character strings. And all that is a sequence of characters, letters, or it could be numbers, because a string could just be a number where it's read as a character string, and anything like that. It could have also special symbols as well. To indicate that something's a string, you can use either single or double quotes. There's no distinction. This is part of what I think is kind of nice is you can use the add symbol or the addition symbol for concatenation of strings. You'll see below what happens. And then the asterisk for string repetition. So you remember we used commands or functions, and these are functions actually in Python, just like in other programming languages, but maybe you've used other kinds of functions that aren't directly so deliberately using mathematical ideas to do string concatenation or create strings. These are examples of what they call overloaded operators. And this is a term used within a few programming languages. I didn't see this until I started programming in Python, but it is what I think of as like object-oriented. So these operators behave differently or work differently depending on what kind of operands you are employing them on. So same idea as what you've probably seen in say R, just a different description. So what happens if we try to use, say, the concatenation operator with a string and a number? Do you get an error? Does it not know what to do? Well, you can try it out. So for example, 3, where that's a character, and that's a numerical value, is supposed to be, maybe you might write this thinking it's going to be 34 or 3-4, like a sequence. Or is it going to be the number 7? Go ahead and try it out. See what you get. All right, so now that you've seen that, let's move on to a test. What's our concept test here? What is the value of S? We start with this definition of S, that after we run through the sequence of statements. So I think it's hard to remember back to tell you the truth, but remember this is creates a replication, and well, think about what this is going to do. Maybe that will help. If you want to, actually, I would really recommend, you remember, I really believe in typing out the code. So take a moment, pause, jot down this code or type it out and see what you get if you're not sure. I think it's valuable also to make a prediction first, then you're more apt to remember. Okay, so hopefully you got an answer. I'm assuming that everybody typed this out. If you have not, don't just watch the answer, please, because you're really not going to be getting all the value out of this that you could. So the answer here is A, right? And what's happening here? Let's step through the code and think. Okay, so we have ABC to start out, and that's just a character string stored in the object S. Then we take S and say, now we want to do something new to it. We're going to take D 3 times 3 plus S. Okay, so so what do we have here? Sorry, I had to pause for a moment. Somebody was at the door. We're taking DDD times 3 plus S. Okay, so think about what you'd have here. You'd have DDD ABC. So it's going to be just 3 Ds, then ABC. Because S is that. It's not a literal string, if we put quotes around this, it would be DDDS, right? But S is an object here. So then we take S again and add on 3 blank spaces. And actually that has a space between it, or it should look like it. But I assumed a space between there. So now we're going to have DDD, ABC, space, 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 which spaces are part of and preserved in a character string. Then we're going to take that result, the DDD, ABC, space, 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 add on Q. Oh gosh, and I just realized something. Do you see a mistake? So I think I made a mistake here. It should be DDD, ABC, space, 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 Q. But notice that's not here. So if this doesn't contain a space here, then this would be correct, E. So try it. Do this. Let's complicate things a little bit. My prediction is if we take this and put a space, we're actually get something like A, except the DDD will be first, the ABC will be second. If you take the space out, E will be correct. So check it both ways. So here, technically, if we take out the space, E is actually correct. So if you only listen to the first part of my answer, you're going to be led astray. I hope you listen to the end. Okay, so now we're going to talk about looping through strings. In Python, we can loop over any kind of data that is in a sequence form. So a string is actually just a sequence of characters, so that's a pretty cool thing, I think. A pattern for looking through a string is the following. So let's say we have a string that we just call S. That's our object that happens to be a string. And character is just going to loop through and do something using that value for character. So the looping variable here is character, and it's going to go through each component that makes up the character string stored in the object S. Okay, so let's practice this now. So the example, how many vowels? Write the following function so that it returns the number of vowels in string S. Both the uppercase and lowercase vowels should be counted. So, you could have little a or big A, little e or big E. So the function could start like this. Go ahead and attempt it prior to class, and then we're going to be completing this in class and make sure that we can write this function. So think about S is going to be your string of characters. It could be all vowels like A, E, I, O, U, or it could just be a function. I think I wrote something like, I don't know, this hello, my name is Amy, or something like that. You can make any kind of expression. It can contain spaces or anything of the sort. So go ahead and attempt it, bring it to class. We have another example, removing spaces. So say you have a function that returns a string that's just like what you put in, except the spaces are removed. So if I had my name is Amy, it would be the same letters for my name is Amy, except there would be no spaces between the word. So again, attempt to remove the spaces. Think about how you do that given your that you're gonna be looping through a character string to do this. So think about how you can do that. Give an attempt. If you don't finish it, that's okay with either of these. Bring it to class and we'll work on together. Okay, so as you work on those, maybe going on and seeing some examples here and practicing will help you get ideas. So here we have a function in Python called mystery. We enter a character string, and then we say, okay, we're going to have a new S. Right now it's just empty space. For C and S, so that's looping through all the values in that character string of S, new S is equal to C plus new S. So it's going to take whatever C is, beginning at the start, presumably, right? and then adding on new S, then it's going to return new S. So make a prediction. What's a good description of this function? Is it going to just return S? Or will it return the reverse of S? Think about as it loops, what's going to happen. So the first value, say it's my name is Amy, the first value would be M. It gets saved in new S. Then it starts looping through with the Y. What's going to happen here? So really think about it. Or is it going to return a string consisting of only the final character? Or is it going to return a string consisting of only the first character? Go ahead and make your prediction. I really recommend thinking through it. If you're really not sure after you've thought through it, go ahead and code it and see what you get. We'll talk about this one in class 2. Finally, what's the value of val after the code executes? So let's think about this one too. Val is 0 first, that just initializes it, right? Then we're going to go through AB for I, and then J will span through CD, and then we just increase. So think about, we're going to let I be A first, and then we go through CD. So that's 2 values, right? Then it's going to start back over. I is B, then we go back through CD. So how many loops or how many iterations was that in total? It was 4. So I'm going to go ahead and make a prediction that this is going to be 4 because I think this one's more obvious. Go ahead and test it too if you're not entirely sure. Okay, so once you've figured out the previous one, notice all, hold on. Okay, so what are we doing differently here? Well, the length of our character strings has changed, and that's why it's important on the previous one here. We explicitly went through, it's A, then we iterate through CD. Then it goes to the next value in the character string B, and then we again iterate through CD, and that's how we came up with 4. So let's think through this the same way. We're A, then we iterate through DEF, B, DEF, C, DEF. What will we get? 9. That sounded a little bit like a cheer. So think through this like that because we are iterating just like we would in any for loop in any programming language. It's just that our character string serves as a set of values to iterate through. This is very useful in some applied applications, I think particularly for bioinformatics. All right, that's all for now. We'll start back up on a related topic next.